Hey everyone, hello. How are you doing? It's Friday all day long, and welcome. Hey, how's your Friday going? Hope you are doing well, and thank you for being here. Mighty, mighty pleasure to have you here, and thank you for contributing to my journey. So, welcome. I can see that I am still on a little time delay, but that's okay. Yes, time travel is, in fact, not only possible, I think it's already been done. So go figure. Hey, Franny, how you doing? How's school going there, kiddo? Les, how you doing? Good to see you. Is that Les Ship Hop? I love that. Okay. Jesse, Jamma Baker, hello. Merritt, how are you? Good to see you, my dear. Obajawa 27, hello. Robert, hello. Candy Girl Jim, indeed. Sylvia, how are you doing, my dear? Mark, hello, hello, hello. Claire. Oh, Sierra, how are you doing? The beauty killer. I love it. Delina, good to see you. Claire, hello. Lost in Space. Yes, 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 yes. Mark, hello. So, how the heck is everybody? 88 Pi, I love that. Archon Buster, hello. That's cool. Tina, hello. T-Cat. Hey, Haley, how you doing? You know, dear, I have you on my list to call. I was going to call you yesterday, got tied up, but we will connect there. Jake, hello. Free man. Love free men. Free spirits. Um, Hello, Lois. How are you doing, my dear warrior queen? You folks, Lois put in your PayPal thing. The woman feeds people, folks. That ain't bad. And whether it's $1 or whether it's $100, it goes. So thank you, Lois, for all you're doing. Kathleen and Grace, hello. Scott, hello, my dear. Um, Karen, hello. Drag him, I like that. So anyway, hello, Elise. Good to see you. Um, Nobody. I think there was wasn't there one of the gods that tricked the Cyclops by asking, I think it was Hercules, was it not? Who was the man? Had no name. Troy, hello, how are you doing? Nina, the mystic. I love that. That's cool. Emperor Rex, high five. Namaset to you too, my friend. Um, Jeannie Rose. I like that. Linda W. Oh, that's just, hey, anyway. Um, so last night on my radio show over on the Artist First network, artistfirst.com, on the Steiger Perspective, did a whole hour on the Sapiens Summit and really had an opportunity because over there, I don't have to be concerned about the censors on YouTube. Yeah, it's just the way it is. So I love the fact that Artist First Network is there and allows a free thinker like me on there. Kind of tells you something, doesn't it? But in any case, got two of the most interesting emails this morning. They came in overnight, and I have a pretty international audience on the Steiger Perspective. And because when I come on, it's, further east you go, better time of day, I guess. But so two emails, and both from individuals that are still in their respective ministries. And one particularly wrote me, and folks, there are some people that are struggling. Imagine if you're in a ministry and it's suddenly you become awake. Your family's depending on you. You've been dedicated to this your whole life. And then I come along. And I'm not going to read the email, but didn't have permission to, but it's Also, it had some pretty personal things in there. But the sum of the content was that, and I've heard this before, he says, "You son of a bitch." That's what he wrote. So that's how I exactly saw you. He said, "I saw you as an enemy." He said, "I detested you." But he said, apparently, I guess you spent enough time in these corners. He said, people kept talking about you. And he said, the thing is, he said, I decided, and I've heard this before, I was going to challenge you. He said, I was going to take you up on your challenge and come on your channel and debate you and show you how wrong you are. But he said, the problem was when you hit me with the fact that any God that would command another human to harm, kill, murder another human cannot be God. In any, he said, in any definition of the word. And he said, I never believed you when you said that people are blinded, but he said, I was. And he said, he continued to write, and he said, the more I began to read it, looking through your perspective, he said, it became very relevant to me that things are wrong here. So there you go. You know, had another one from another faith, and knew that I hadn't studied their books, but went in there and left, well, awakened. So anyway, folks, we're having an impact, and hey, that's what it's all about. We are a community. We're a community of unique individuals. I dare say of many of the things that we do here, which are unique, talking with the planets. Patrick, I don't know if Patrick's in. No, he's on holiday with his wife, Angie, and the kids. And Patrick, we send you and Angie much love, much warm energy, and wherever you are off to, relax, love, and enjoy. So, and by the way, let me just invoke favor upon everybody. I write it in all the time because it's important to write, anyway. But just invoking great favor upon you this glorious day. It is a glorious day. We're still here. I think we're discovering things that I think long after we're gone, will carry forward. So full restoration upon your lives, our memories, maybe. If our species got our memories back, I believe every religion would go away. We would discover what it is as a discover. Now, I contend next week, I'm going to be doing a whole show on this, that whoever is involved in our creation, I don't think they're up there. I think they're in here, the inner earth. I think that's where they've always been. We've been so awed by looking at this matrix, this hologram above us, that the true creators are in the earth. Sounds wild, but there's a lot of validation to that. So, nothing missing, nothing broken. Be in your life. So we're going to talk today. Oh, by the way, allow me to pull this up. I am going to be interviewed today over on, let me pull up their channel, Delightful Couple, Real Talk with the Cummings. Looking forward to it. They're a transgender couple. And so I think this is going to be a great hour. I think it's going to be delightful. There they are putting it up there. So if you are so inclined, 5:30 Mountain Time, I think 7:30 East Coast, check them out. And we'll see. I think it's going to be good. Looking forward to it. So thank you both, Mark and Lynn, for having me on. and we'll see you at 5:30. So, death. So someone wrote in the chat room, and I saw it. You know, graveyards, cemeteries. Why aren't there new cemeteries? People die. We're going to get really into it. We're going to get into some interesting statistics. And yeah, folks, this here is a little strange. So let's get right to it. As you know, I always do the PowerPoint because it's a very effective tool in communicating and learning. So no vacancy. We are full. You know, I had never thought about this, but I actually called the city of Denver and asked specifically, how many new applications do they get for cemeteries? None. And I went, well, that's odd. This whole thing is really a strange one, folks. We all die, you know. Again, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help all of us as we cross over, learn to challenge. You're going to be confronted. We're going to get into that in the weeks to come, but you're going to be confronted. And, you know, as the one person wrote, he said, no greater truth, he says, is it that you're speaking? I wrote him back. I said, I didn't write it. They did. So we all die. This is the inevitable conclusion. It's not something to be sad about. It's not something to be, you know, terrified about. It's part of the process. You've just been indoctrinated wrong. Your viewpoint is that you find it as a finality, a conclusion, an ending to something, but that's the illusion. It's not. It's a phase, folks. That's all it is. And of course, you know, the older you get, the more of these, you know, you seem to be attending. Us sapiens, our species, have really weird customs about death, burial, about the body. You know, in reality, we all know grandma ain't in there. You know, Aunt Sally's done gone. And Uncle Joe never, you know, wasn't there half the time when he was here. So, but yeah. One person wrote, and I had to agree, where the freak did this open casket thing come from? Is that not like the most grossest, morbid thing to do? I remember as a kid going and seeing my great-grandmother. You know, as a kid, you're thinking, you're not thinking. It's like, well, what's this concept here, you know? But yeah, I mean, it's strange. We have a way of somehow hating to die, but wanting to glorify the grave. As a species, we are evolving in our precepts of death. We are not like an 18th century person. Dare say we're not like a 19th century person. Our attitudes, our lack of tradition or customs are becoming more commonplace. And when you look at something like this, you have to admit, what were they thinking? Well, we all know what they're thinking. They're thinking that there's going to be this great resurrection. No, I hate to tell you, there ain't going to be no resurrection unless you're the cat that they found up in Wyoming that was left out there that apparently has more than 9 lives. And, you know, when we talk about graveyards, cemeteries, isn't it different? What's the difference between a graveyard and a cemetery? Well, hell, I don't know. What's the difference between a spirit and a ghost? I don't know. What's the difference between a mortician and an undertaker? I don't know. Maybe one digs and another one pulls out. I don't know. But yeah, when we die, we kind of like to have the, something that says, I was here, back in World War II, the Allied soldiers, particularly the U.S. soldiers, would always put, they wanted to say Elroy was here. But yeah, so we've got these strange customs that we call them headstones, tombstones, that somehow someone's going to remember us. Weird. I know, it's weird. All it takes is a free thinking mind to step back. And folks, my wife and I were talking about this. She says, you've taught me how to live in awe every day. And, you just step back and look at the things that we do. And you're going, where the hell did that come from, right? But nevertheless, and the more money you got, the more grandiose you can be. You can have, I don't know what Mr. Sherry here was all about, but, maybe size counts. I don't know. But, as you can see, there are a sundry of shapes, sizes, girths, lengths, widths, art, deco, and there are just some that, well, you can already see the handwriting on the wall, what's going to happen here. Give this another 50 years and, well, may not be any more here. In cities, it is no longer, in most cities in the United States, and as I was looking at other countries, it apparently seems to be the same there. Many of the graveyards, cemeteries, you can't be buried in. There's no room for you, baby. Now, if you got a reservation, and that's what they call it, you got a reservation, well, your spot may or may not be available. And of course, we all love the picturesque park settings. I guess somehow spirits, prefer to be buried out in the wilderness. You think about this. Very interesting custom too, how we lay graveyards out, cemeteries. But nevertheless, you can see immediately what the problem is here. Well, you take each body, you're looking at about 8 foot. That's a lot of real estate. You think I'm silly? Find out what the real estate goes per inch in Hong Kong. I'm not kidding you. So this presents a problem. Then we got this. The regulations in the United States, they vary from state to state, actually from county to county, believe it or not. But the question is, what do you do with old cemeteries? How long should your epitaph, your headstone, your tombstone be allowed to stay? This is a quiz. No, because there is an answer, believe it or not. And this is part of the problem. Now, there was a great movie back in the 80s, Poltergeist. Great movie. Loved the actors that were in that. Strange movie. When you read of what was happening on the set. But nevertheless, the story, is the foundation is that land is becoming much more scarce. And in this case, you had a developer who took shortcuts. They knew they had a graveyard there and they were supposed to follow the regulations of how not to desecrate the graves and how to be respectful in the particular person that was there if you could have found their faiths, et cetera, et cetera. But as we know the story, they just simply built over. I don't know. I kind of think that I'm going to be cremated myself. So is my wife. My attitude is I could give a rat's ass what they do after I'm gone. I ain't hanging around and I ain't coming back. Now you think about the reincarnationists that have that cycle thing. Could you imagine if you got your memory and you recycled really quick back, you could actually go and look at your own grave. That's what they call meeting yourself coming and going, baby. But nevertheless, there are in many of the cities, Paris, New Orleans, others, St. Louis, there's a number of cities that actually have the cities of the dead in their cities. This is a city of the dead. When you have in a municipality areas that are blocked off, sectioned off with strict, regulations, codes, et cetera, these are cities of the dead. In fact, you could almost say that every cemetery is a city of the dead. Just no matter how you look at it, baby. Because that's what they are. They're cities of the dead. You ever had a girl who ever wanted to have sex on a tombstone? Yeah. You ever been stoned on LSD in a cemetery? Now that's a trip, baby. I did the latter one, not the first, but still. And we have a strange fascination. Have you ever been in New Orleans? Check out the cities of the dead they have down there. They have unique mausoleums, and it's really quite a study in the psyche of where people truly are at. Yeah, I know, it's really bizarre, isn't it? And and it's not morbid. We tend to fantasize that. Why? Because we love to be scared. This is what, all horror movies are made. And this is why people have the false perception that death is bad. It has evil spirits and, they're going to come get you. And no, it's not. This is the problem. This is what, perpetuates this whole personification. But the interesting thing is about death is that it's an industry. Yeah, it really is. In the United States, it's, you could call it a monopoly. A number of families control virtually the whole industry. Now, yours truly, at one time, actually had a license, I had an insurance broker license that I could also sell you burial insurance. I could sell you a casket. Learned the industry, had to be tested the whole bit. In that instant, I always thought it was very interesting because they fingerprint you, baby. And so dying, it's big business, but any way you look at it, it's a large amount of real estate that's not going to be able to be used. And that's the problem. And when we look at these picturesque settings, I guess some find this to be a memorial to them. But my question is it only for the rich? And it would appear so. And here's a term I'm bringing in. We have the old dead. Now, the old dead are these most unique representations of, medieval beliefs all the way into Victorian, post-Victorian, Puritan. Angels don't have wings, folks. So this is another city of the dead. Interesting, isn't it? Cities of the dead. You know, if you have and you live in a big city and you're listening to me and you ever have the chance and you want to take your family, significant and others, it's really quite an adventure to go and visit these cities of the deads. Because, you know, the thing is, the more you become accustomed to this, you're not going to be afraid of it. Remember, all of those people that we see down there entombed, they were just like you and I, talking. Now, this is Paris. Paris has probably the most well-known cities of the dead. We ever get there, I think that would be just beautiful. I mean, they say it's quite an experience. It's well worth it. It's quite beautiful. Many of these mausoleums and mosques are just enormous in how they have decorated them. Such unique art, visualization of thought. I found this one really interesting. Yeah. But this was what I'd be talking about. I mean, imagine it's like going to, you know, the National Museum of Art in Washington, D.C. at the Smithsonian. Walking on the Dead. I kid you not. Some places it's so bad that there's no space, that, well, this is what happens. Famous line in the movie Tombstone. Well, Johnny Ringo, you look like someone just walked over your grave. Well, yeah, they did. This is really bad. I mean, when you start having graveyards that start flooding, it ain't no resurrection, baby. Yeah, it becomes a real problem. You know, and this again is with this custom of putting bodies in the ground. Let me tell you one of the nasty little secrets about the funeral industry. Those metal coffins, they degrade. I wonder what kind of metals they're made out of. And with the ongoing problem of sinkholes, you know, when you tell the guy, the grave digger, go out and says, well, you know, we need to, you know, dig a hole out there today. Maybe you got a little carried away here. But seriously, in Florida and more places, this is becoming a huge problem. What do you do when a sinkhole opens up in the middle of a cemetery? Again, this weird thing that we have about putting ourselves back in the ground, and it goes to mostly because of religion. And now this is what we call the new dead. Now, this is actually here in Colorado. This is because they ran out of place for veterans. And so the term is the new dead. Who'd have known? When I go, I'm going to be considered the new dead. Far out. I mean, what a way to go, baby. And incoming is Mr. No, man, I'm the new dad. How you doing? And I'm going to see Jerry Garcia on the other side and say, like, hell you are, you know. And then you've got this new term called the green dead. I kid you not. And actually, they're onto something here. It's makes a lot of sense, actually, in coming to resolution of this problem. And it is a problem. And it's only going to get bigger. And when you go to a city council and say, well, what we'd like to do is to have this zoned for burying dead people, and we need it to be exempt from taxes, property taxes. There's going to be no revenue, no taxation generated off the land. Cities aren't so, how should we say, eager to entertain that. Because now you get the EPA involved, and now why would a real estate venture want to go into building cemeteries? So it's odd. The numbers you can't get. They're I guess they do this every 10 years. So world birth and death rates. All right. So the birth rate back then, and I have to think that these numbers are not correct. 19 births per 1,000 populations, 8 deaths per 1,000. So you can see the problem right there, right? 131.5 million births, only to 55.3 million deaths a year. That runs out to 360,000 births per day. Isn't that an odd number? I saw that and I went, wait a minute, time out. You got a 360 in here in this number? Apparently 151,600 people die each day. It works out to 15,000 births per hour, 6,300 dying per hour, 2,500 births per minute, 105 people dying per minute. 4 births per second, nearly 2 die each second. And these numbers were from the Population Reference Bureau and World Factbook, CIA. Kid you not. Here's a little more accurate one I found. 7.5 billion people. They come out with the average births about 296. So it's greatly diminished, which I thought was odd. They're showing the population growth by day. So you can see the births dramatically different than the other agency that was reporting this. So I went back and I came in and I rechecked these numbers again. And actually, it looks like the CIA was more accurate. Gee, imagine that. Yeah, about 2.5 deaths to birth ratio. Now, here's the interesting thing. How much does it cost to die? Think about this, folks. This is one coitus messed up matrix. It costs to be born. Yeah, mama and papa have to pay the bills. And then it costs to bury your sorry butt. But like, my attitude is, hey, buddy, I ain't here. You pay the tab. So the average plot will cost you between $1,500 and $2,500. And actually, it's in some places triple that number. A mausoleum crypt between $4,500 and $8,500. The endowment care, but you never heard of that, did you? $150 to $250. The burial vault and grave liner, that's actually more onto another $3,000. Opening and closing. No kidding, folks. That's the coffin. Yeah. I kid you not. I mean, what do you have to be certified in this? What do they have, a hazmat suit? We're closing the call. Yeah. Headstone or grave marker. Well, depends on what you want to do. Installation of headstone or grave marker. And in the end, it's going to cost you about $5,000 to as much as $500,000 to be buried. Yeah, $500,000. There are people that spend that. So what's included in the price, right? Generally, following items are included in the cost of a cemeterial burial. All right, the rite of interment, also known as interment rites. Yeah. This is the purchase of the burial plot or the mausoleum space. Owning interment rights to a place means that you have the right to be buried in that place or to designate the burial of someone else in that place. Opening and closing. This includes the digging and filling the grave, okay, and may include securing necessary permits, maintaining legal fees, keeping records, the use of casket lowering device, and other items of the service. Yeah. Burial vaults are grave liners. In the case of ground burial, many cemeteries require either an outer burial container, either a burial vault or a grave liner to protect the earth around the casket. Why? Because they found out for all those centuries, heavy metals. Perpetual care or endowment care. This one-time maintenance fee, often 5% to 15% of the plot price, may be legally required by the state for a reinvestment in a state-mandated cemetery maintenance fund. This fee generally does not pay for the maintenance of the headstone or other gravesite memorials. Headstone installation fee. Even if you purchase a headstone or grave marker from the cemetery, they may charge you a fee for installing the marker on the grave. Now, let's go to the United States live, ladies and gentlemen. Give me 1 second here as he gets out of this. And isn't this weird? I mean, you look at this, it's bizarre. So let's go to the clock. Yeah, there is actually a clock, believe it or not, folks. Here it is. This is called the death clocks. Around the world, updated in real time. You can go to your country here, anywhere in the world. You can see how many, look at this, deaths per hour. 6, how do you make this stuff up? You ready for this? 6,666. Yeah, numbers mean nothing. But seriously, you can go anywhere you want and push it in here. So I went over here to the United States, and this is being updated. There it goes. It just updated again. So far today, 3,920 deaths have been confirmed. And when they're confirmed, they have to be confirmed by a coroner. So there you go. A person dies approximately every 11, almost every 12 seconds. Number of deaths, it goes right here in the United States. 2.7 million number of deaths per day, 7,453. And we're seeing it right now, folks, live. Look at that. Those are departed spirits, folks. We're talking right now. And the number continues to go up. Weird, isn't it? Yeah. So I found this interesting. If I was a city planner, and this gets really very difficult. We don't think about where they're going to put us. And it's not that simple. I read this whole beautiful, well-written paper on this. And, they just simply address the simple fact is this. The challenge is going to become what takes priority, the cities of the dead or the land of the living? If we don't change our attitudes and how we view death, then it becomes a problem. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, there are 7.5+ billion people estimated living on this planet right now. If a major species catastrophe hit, where we're talking loss potentially of 1 billion people, where do you put 1 billion people that die very quickly? It's not easy. Now, we talk about cremation. Do I own a grave? You do not. Can I reserve a grave? Yeah, but why would you? And remember, the holding period for graves, 100 years. Yeah. How many people can be buried in a grave? All new graves are dug to a depth of 6 feet, allowing for 2 full interments plus numerous cremated remain caskets. In some of the city cemeteries and where land is suitable, graves can be dug to a depth of 7 feet 6 inches, will allow for 3 full internments. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess the whole urn thing. But when you get into this, it asks some of the questions so many of us ask. Yeah. More of us are dying. And it says, how do cemeteries not run out of room for plots? They do. That's just the simple question. I found this interesting. This was actually used in, I think it was a middle school. Interesting how they had the students come in here and figure out. I think this was pretty cool when I come across it. Causes them to think. The average casket is 28 by 84 by 23 inches. So there you go. Isn't it odd? Well, it gets better. What do you do when you can't afford to be buried? I know so many people that in the past that have reached that age, and the conversation is always been, I don't want to burden my family. And who'd have thought, average funeral cost down 10, 12, 15,000. That's the average. Social Security only pays $250. You could probably find a cheap cremation for probably less than $1,000. I know. Who'd ever thought? Plot sales, no gold mine for cemeteries. And this article got into it, that if you look at a cemetery plot that sells, let's say, for $500, a large one maybe for $7,500, they went out and did the math on this, and, well, it's a totally losing proposition. The only money to be made is in the front end. Once they put you into the ground, well, now you become basically it. Excuse me. There we go. Up there we go. It's, as you can see, it's been rising the whole time. Now, I found this interesting, that the Federal Trade Commission in the Consumer Information actually has a whole little thing that you can come in here, determine, because by law, funeral homes don't have to literally give you the price breakout. Some states they have it now, but in many states they don't. All the stuff that you think about. How much money is it going to cost you that you're going to have to pay down? Embalming, caskets. You really don't need a casket. And I'm telling you, folks, you just don't need them. And anyway, I know this seems like a very morbid. There we go, 253. Housing the dead. What happens when a city runs out of space? Yeah. This is all real stuff, folks. Cemeteries are running out of room. Yeah. What happens when cemetery space runs? Article after article. Again, just constantly maintaining this. So I'm going to get out of here. I think you can see where this is at. It's wild, isn't it? So for a Friday, why not? We have been into some serious study this week. And I felt that, for this episode, let's talk about where we're going to put them. I often hear that phrase, let's stack it, rack them, stack them and rack them, I remember the winter, and I forget what it is. I think it was 82. The winter up in Chicago, with a morgue, they were finding so many people that were freezing to death that they were literally stacking them up as core wood outside. Yeah. So, all right, folks, I'm going to let you go early on this one. Hope you've had it fun. Next week, we're going to get right back into this, folks. We are not going to let up on our species being victim to any unseen make-believe gods. Not no more. I believe we will start a revolution when people begin to say, no more of this. If your God is on record commanding other humans to kill other humans in its name because of its religion, it's not a God, it's a murderer. And if you're worshiping angels that serve this God, that is in fact what we would call, you would be basically a co-conspirator of this. That these angels have harmed one human, shed 1 ounce of blood, they're murderers. They're not holy. You can't make an exception for saying holy. They're God. No. That's the deception. Murder of our species will no longer be permitted. This is what the Sapien Summit is about. Declaring our independence as sapiens, as a species, sacred and sovereign. And we will no longer allow unseen gods to kill us. Not going to do it. And that's what we will continue to do. We're going to continue to bring out the fact that if any deity, demiurge, demigod, archon, whatever, is ever found to have shed human blood or commanded or given the order to shed human blood, they're murderers. They're not gods. They're not saviors. They're murderers. And that's how we go about this. It's the only way we can, folks. We just spent the last 45 minutes just looking at our customs of what we do with dead bodies. But I don't want to see any more of that. I'm tired of seeing the youth today that have no hope. They don't understand why they're here. They don't understand the preciousness of their life forces. And we can't afford to have any more sacrificed. We're a better species, and we're going to explore that. It's hard for me sometimes to be able just to have to bring this out. I was involved with it for over nearly 5 decades, folks. I look at what I did with my life, and I grieve that I worshiped a God that was a murderer. Fail for it. Evangelized, proselytized, preached into prisons. Little did I know I was preaching to prisoners. I was one all along. This is preaching a different type of prison. So, is that right, me? I seen that. Oh, that's interesting. I'll have to go back and look at it on Dateline. Yeah, that a long time ago they run out of room. Yeah. Folks, I appreciate you. Thank you. I know we get into some serious thing. I know YouTube knows it. And that's cool. Listen, as I wrote back to the person that wrote me the email, I didn't write the books. I just look at it now from a different perspective. If I were to do that, and I had a following, and I said to one of the followers, which I wouldn't, why would a God want worshipers? I never figured that out. Why would a human want some people to be so devoted to him? Get out of here. Anyway, I would be arrested, sent to prison, conspiracy to commit murder. And if I told someone to do it, then I am as guilty as the person that did it. That's our laws. So why do we make an exception here? But come Sunday morning, they'll be filling in there, as we all know. Love you, folks. You're the best. Thank you. Join me over with the Cummings. Looking forward to it. We'll see how it transpires. I have no doubt it will be an exciting hour. So thank you, folks. I will see you probably be over on Jeff's channel on Sunday and then back here on Monday. We'll get right back into it. Monday's episode, you'll want to watch it. Yeah, we'll put out the wanted poster. All right, folks. Thank you so much as well. And all the chatters. I love that. Oh, y'all are the best. Thank you, moderators. And thank you all for listening. Y'all are the best. I'll see you again real soon. All right. Bye-bye.